Welcome to the final lesson of Chapter 10. We've drawn the demand curve and learned what shifts it. Now we measure something subtler: how strongly buyers respond to a change in price. That measure is called elasticity. Remember the puzzle from our coffee example. As the price fell, total spending was $250, then $360, then $300. It rose, and then it fell. The reason behind that pattern is elasticity. So what is elasticity? Elasticity measures how responsive the quantity demanded is to a change in price. Some goods, buyers abandon the moment they get pricier. Others, buyers keep buying no matter what. Elasticity puts a number on that difference. Here's the definition. Elasticity equals the percentage change in quantity divided by the percentage change in price. Since price and quantity move in opposite directions, the ratio is negative, so we just look at its size and ignore the minus sign. If that number is greater than 1, demand is elastic. Quantity responds a lot. A small percentage change in price causes a larger percentage change in the quantity that buyers want. If the number is less than 1, demand is inelastic. Quantity responds only a little. Even a large change in price produces only a small change in the quantity demanded. And if the number is exactly 1, demand is unit elastic. Quantity changes in precisely the same proportion as price. A 10% price rise brings a 10% fall in quantity. Now here's the good news. You usually don't need to compute a number at all. There's a quick tool called the spending test. Just watch what happens to total spending, price times quantity, when the price changes. If demand is elastic, price and total spending move in opposite directions. So when the price falls, spending rises. The flood of extra sales more than makes up for charging less per unit. If demand is inelastic, price and total spending move in the same direction. When the price falls, spending falls too. The few extra sales aren't enough to cover the revenue lost on each unit. And if demand is unit elastic, total spending doesn't change at all when the price moves. The gain in quantity exactly offsets the loss in price. Let's apply this to our coffee numbers. At 25 shekels, 10 packs, spending $250. At 20 shekels, 18 packs, spending $360. At 10 shekels, 30 packs, spending $300. Look at the move from 25 shekels to 20. The price falls, and spending rises, from $250 to $360. Price and spending move in opposite directions, so demand is elastic over this upper range. Now the move from 20 shekels down to 10. The price falls, but this time spending falls too, from $360 to $300. Price and spending move in the same direction, so demand is inelastic over this lower range. Notice what this means. One and the same demand curve can be elastic in its upper portion and inelastic in its lower portion. Elasticity is not a single label for the whole curve. It changes as you move along it. And see where spending peaks. The maximum, 360 shekels, sits in the middle, right around where elasticity is close to 1. Near that point, a small change in price barely moves total spending at all. Now, if we do want an actual number for a range, we use the midpoint method. Instead of dividing by the starting value, we divide each change by the average of the two values, so we get the same answer whichever direction we go. Here's the formula. A percentage change equals the change divided by the average of the two values. Compute that for quantity and for price, and then elasticity is the percentage change in quantity divided by the percentage change in price. Let's compute it for the move from 25 to 20 shekels. Quantity goes from 10 to 18, a change of 8 over an average of 14, about 57%. Price goes from 25 to 20, a change of 5 over an average of 22.5, about 22%. Elasticity is roughly 57 over 22, about 2.6. Elastic. Now the move from 20 to 10 shekels. Quantity goes from 18 to 30, a change of 12 over an average of 24, which is 50%. Price goes from 20 to 10, a change of 10 over an average of 15, about 67%. Elasticity is roughly 50 over 67, about 0.75. Inelastic. And the numbers agree perfectly with the spending test. 2.6 is greater than 1, which is elastic, matching the rise in spending. 0.75 is less than 1, inelastic, matching the fall. 2 tools, 1 consistent answer. So what actually makes a goods demand elastic or inelastic? 4 main factors decide how responsive buyers will be. First, the availability of close substitutes. The more easy substitutes a good has, the more elastic its demand. If buyers can readily switch to something else, they will the moment the price climbs. Second, whether the good is a necessity or a luxury. Necessities tend to be inelastic because we buy them no matter what. Luxuries tend to be elastic because they're easy to cut back on when money is tight. Third, the share of the budget the good takes up. A good that eats a large share of income, like housing, has more elastic demand because buyers really feel its price. Cheap, trivial purchases are inelastic. We hardly notice what they cost. Fourth, time. Demand is more elastic over a long period than a short one. Given time, buyers find alternatives, change their habits, and adjust, so the longer the horizon, the bigger the response. Now 2 extreme cases worth knowing. The first is perfectly inelastic demand, where elasticity is 0. Quantity doesn't change at all when price changes, so the demand curve is a vertical line. A good example is a life-saving medicine. A patient needs the same dose whatever the price, so the quantity demanded stays fixed. Demand is, near enough, perfectly inelastic. The opposite extreme is perfectly elastic demand, where elasticity is infinite. Here, even the tiniest price rise sends quantity demanded all the way to 0, so the demand curve is a horizontal line. Think of one wheat farmer in a huge market. His wheat is identical to everyone else's. If he charges even a cent more, buyers simply go to another seller. The demand for his particular wheat is perfectly elastic. We'll meet this idea again in equilibrium. Why does any of this matter? For a firm, elasticity tells you whether to raise or to cut your price in order to earn more revenue. It turns pricing from a guess into a decision. If the demand for your product is inelastic, raise the price. Quantity barely falls, so your revenue goes up. Buyers don't have good alternatives, so they keep buying. But if the demand for your product is elastic, cut the price. The quantity sold jumps so much that your revenue rises even though you charge less per unit. The volume more than makes up for it. Governments care too. A tax raises the most revenue when it's placed on inelastic goods, like cigarettes and fuel. Buyers keep buying despite the higher price, so the tax sticks and the money rolls in. Let's summarize. Elasticity is the percentage change in quantity over the percentage change in price. Elastic demand, above 1, means price and spending move in opposite directions. Inelastic demand, below 1, means they move together. And our coffee curve was elastic between 25 and 20 shekels, but inelastic between 20 and 10. The one line to remember, just watch total spending. If it moves opposite to price, demand is elastic. If it moves with price, demand is inelastic. That completes the demand side of the market. The curve itself, the forces that shift it, and the elasticity that measures buyers' response. Now we're ready to bring demand and supply together and let the market decide a price. That's Chapter 11, Equilibrium. If this lesson helped, please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and share it with someone who's studying economics. And to keep getting extra materials, join our members club, where you'll find the full quiz library, fully worked solutions, and more practice questions. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next lesson.